Life can change in an instant, and for Veronica, it all began with one selfless act of kindness. Just months ago, she was homeless and hopeless, wandering the streets. But when she saved a dying stranger, she had no idea he was a billionaire. That moment changed everything. He made her a promise: "You will never suffer again." And he meant it, even vowing to bring justice to the woman who tried to traffic her. Now let's dive into part 2 of this powerful and emotional story. If you haven't watched part 1, we strongly recommend you do. It will help you appreciate how far Veronica has come. And if you're just discovering this channel, please subscribe, turn on your notification bell, and don't forget to like this video if the story touches your heart. From the streets into a life she never imagined. The morning sun painted soft gold over the rooftops of Lagos as the black Range Rover pulled out of the hospital driveway, escorted by 2 gleaming white Prado SUVs. Veronica sat in the back seat, dressed in a light peach gown Isaac had picked out for her. Her freshly washed hair was tied neatly behind her head, and a faint trace of coconut oil glistened on her smooth cheeks. She looked like a different person, clean, quiet, yet still guarded, like someone still waiting to wake up from a dream. Chief Madhu sat beside her, dressed in a crisp white caftan, his wristwatch barely visible under the embroidered sleeve. His wounds had healed, though a faint scar near his temple remained, a quiet reminder of what he had survived. "Are you okay?" he asked, watching her through the tinted glass as they approached the Third Mainland Bridge. Veronica nodded. I still can't believe any of this is real." Chief Madhu smiled. "You'll believe it when we arrive." The drive felt like something from a film: police outriders clearing the traffic, pedestrians pausing to look, market women peeking from under umbrellas. Veronica shrank slightly into her seat, overwhelmed by it all. "Sir, I don't think I belong in a place where people wear perfume that costs more than a bag of rice," she murmured. He turned to her. "Veronica, you gave blood for a stranger. You gave up your only earnings to save a man you didn't know. Tell me, what makes someone belong, if not that kind of heart?" She was quiet. 20 minutes later, they entered Ikoyi. Wide boulevards, palm trees, impossibly tall gates with security men at every corner. Veronica's eyes widened. The Range Rover slowed, then turned into an estate more beautiful than anything she had imagined. The road was paved with interlocking bricks. Ornamental trees lined the curbs. Every house looked like it had been plucked from the pages of an architecture magazine. This isn't a hotel?" she asked in disbelief. "No," Chief Madhu said. "This is your new home." The car pulled into a vast compound surrounded by high marble walls. A large fountain gushed in the middle of a circular driveway. A gold-plated M was engraved on the front gate. The house itself, white with black tinted windows and cream pillars, looked like royalty lived there. Veronica froze. "This is too much." "It's not," he replied gently. "Come." The driver stepped out and opened her door. As she emerged, the staff, 3 women in matching uniforms and a tall butler in a black suit, came forward. "Welcome, Madam Veronica," the butler said with a slight bow. "Madam?" She looked behind her, assuming someone else must be there. But there wasn't. Her knees trembled. Chief Madhu gently placed a hand on her back. "You're safe now, you're respected, and you're home." He led her through the grand glass doors. Inside, it was like walking into a palace. A glittering chandelier hung above a marble staircase. The floors reflected the ceiling. Paintings and soft art lined the cream walls. A soft scent of roses drifted through the air. In the distance, soft jazz played. "I've never even stepped inside someone's parlor with a fan," Veronica whispered, "let alone something like this." A maid stepped forward and offered her slippers. "Your room is ready, Ma." Still overwhelmed, Veronica followed. They ascended the stairs, their footsteps silent on the marble. The guest room was larger than the entire house she grew up in. A king-size bed with satin sheets. A dressing table with mirrors surrounded by warm lights. A wardrobe already stocked with new clothes. A vanity shelf filled with hair oils, creams, perfumes. But it was the bathroom that made her gasp. Gleaming white tiles, hot and cold shower knobs, and a bathtub that looked like a dream. "You're free to rest. Eat. Take your time," Chief Madhu said. She turned to him, eyes wet. "I don't deserve all this," she whispered. He looked her in the eyes. You didn't ask to deserve it, but God saw you worthy, and so do I. She stood frozen. For a moment, the years of struggle came rushing back, sweeping blocks at the construction site, being kicked out by Madame PT2, begging strangers on the street, sleeping under a bridge. And now, this, a palace, respect, comfort, safety. She sank slowly to her knees. Thank you, sir. I will never forget this. He gently lifted her up. Don't kneel to me. You knelt for life, not for me. Stand tall, Veronica. You're the miracle now. He left quietly, giving her space. Veronica walked slowly to the mirror, looking at the girl staring back. She didn't recognize her. She wasn't the street girl anymore. She was a woman who had survived, and now she had arrived. As the AC hummed gently and the mansion settled into quiet, Veronica curled into the soft bed, pulled the blanket over herself and whispered, God, this must be what heaven feels like. Justice wears silence until it knocks on the guilty. The morning after Veronica moved into the mansion, the sun rose gently over Ikoyi. While she was still asleep, wrapped in soft sheets that smelled like jasmine, Chief Madhu sat downstairs in his private study, fully awake, eyes sharp, dressed in a tailored navy kaftan. His desk was filled with folders, reports, and a cup of untouched black coffee. Isaac, his long-trusted assistant, stood beside him with his tablet. I've pulled up everything I could find on Madame Patricia Nwokedi, Isaac said. But sir, you were right. She's filth wrapped in diamonds. Chief Madhu leaned back, face hardening. Go on. She runs what she calls a modeling agency, but it's a front. Behind the scenes, human trafficking, sex tourism, fake travel jobs. She's moved girls to Italy, Dubai, Ghana, promising them work in restaurants and salons, only to force them into escort work. Chief Madhu clenched his jaw. She's smart, Isaac added. She doesn't touch anything directly. She uses girls to recruit other girls. She even pays off some small-time police officers. That's why she's never been caught. Then we go higher, Chief Madhu said quietly. He picked up his phone and dialed a secure number. Commissioner Obasanya, he said after a few seconds. It's Madhu. I need a task force. Quiet, trustworthy. I'm about to hand you a woman who's been selling young girls like goats in the market. There was a long pause on the other end. Then, say no more. We'll handle it. By that afternoon, a small task team was assigned. 5 plain-clothed officers with backgrounds in undercover work and cyber surveillance. One of them, Inspector Bisi Aluko, was a seasoned woman in her late 30s with the eyes of a hawk and the instincts of a lioness. She had spent years chasing traffickers across borders. She came to the mansion personally to meet Chief Madhu. Veronica, now awake and dressed in soft Ankara loungewear, stood nervously by the hallway as Bisi entered. This the girl? Bisi asked, tilting her head at Veronica. Chief Madhu nodded. She's the reason we're doing this. She was nearly sold, kicked out when she refused. That woman needs to be stopped. Veronica nodded slowly. She promised me a job, but the job was to sell myself. Bisi's face turned cold. She's one of those ones that ruin families. She turned to her team. We'll bring her down, but not with guns, with proof. We need her to trap herself. Over the next several days, a sting operation began. One of the female officers, Sergeant Lamy, young, light-skinned, and sharp-tongued, was chosen to go undercover. She posed as a 19-year-old orphan from Ebony looking for a way out. Through a fake tip placed by an informant, Madame P heard of her. Just 2 days later, she sent her driver to pick Lamy up from a market in Surulere. Madame P didn't recognize the officer. Of course she didn't. Traffickers never remember names, they only count bodies. Inside her Lekki house, the same one she had once kicked Veronica out from, Madame P welcomed Lamy with fake smiles and cold hands. You're pretty, she said, circling the young officer like a vulture. And you're from the East. That's a bonus. Foreign clients love the accent. I'll start you with Abuja runs first, then Dubai if you're sharp. Lamy faked nervous laughter. Will I be paid well? Oh, you'll be paid more than your future husband will ever make, Madame P purred. In the corner of her handbag, Lami's micro-recorder caught every word. What Madam P didn't know was that every call she made, every booking she whispered about, every secret location she bragged about, it was all being monitored. For the first time in her life, the hunter was the hunted. Back at the mansion, Veronica was anxious. Will they arrest her? She asked Chief Madhu that evening. Not just arrest, he replied. Expose her, break the chain, save other girls like you. She swallowed hard. I thought I was just one victim. I didn't know she'd done it to others. He looked at her. You were enough. 1 week into the operation, BC returned with her team. We have her, she said with satisfaction. Surveillance, confession, and 2 underage girls in her house right now. She even gave them code names. That woman is sick. Chief Madhu's eyes glinted with something between relief and vengeance. What next? He asked. BC zipped her folder shut. Next, we shut her down. Sometimes victory wears the face of a daughter who came back home, not broken, but reborn. The sun had barely risen over Oji River, but already the village was buzzing. Not because of any festival, not because of politics, but because of one impossible rumor. Veronica was coming home. And not on a bus, not in a keiki, not on foot, in a convoy. 2 black SUVs and a police escort were making their way slowly through the dusty, narrow roads leading into the village. The tires kicked up red dust as old men left their beer parlors, women paused at their firewood stoves, and children ran barefoot toward the roadside, screaming, Motor! Big motor! They come! Inside the lead car, Veronica sat quietly, dressed in a simple but elegant yellow lace gown that complemented her deep brown skin. Her hair was styled in a neat bun, gold stud earrings, minimal makeup. But it wasn't the clothes or the convoy that turned heads. It was the peace on her face. She looked out the window at the same road she had once walked barefoot with tears in her eyes. The same field she once passed on her way to beg for leftover cassava. Beside her in the car was Chief Madhu, dressed in a crisp white native with navy embroidery. He said nothing, just watched her reaction carefully. You okay? He finally asked. Veronica smiled. I used to dream about this moment, she whispered. But in those dreams, I was alone. Chief Madhu smiled back. Dreams grow better when shared. Behind them, Isaac and 2 members of Chief's security team rode in the second SUV, wearing sunglasses and alert expressions. No one was taking chances, not after what had happened with the kidnapping. As they entered the village square, the convoy slowed. Women dropped their basins. Men removed their caps. Children waved and screamed, Auntie Vero! Auntie Vero! Mama Veronica came running from the compound, wrapper flying, mouth wide open. Jesus! Jesus! Not lie! Veronica! The car hadn't even stopped when Veronica opened the door and jumped out. Mama! She shouted, running forward. They met in the middle of the square, 2 women clinging to each other like they had just been rescued from a flood. Mama sobbed loudly, her knees giving way, but Veronica held her. Mama, I'm okay. I'm okay now. My daughter! I thought I lost you. I thought Lagos swallowed you. Look at you. See your skin. Who did your hair? Veronica laughed through her tears. It's a long story. Then came Panamdi, her father, walking slowly with a cane, supported by one of the local boys. His body was still frail, but his eyes were full of life. Papa! Veronica shouted. Veronica, he whispered. Is that really you? She ran to him, fell to her knees, and kissed his feet. He bent down slowly, his hands shaking, and touched her head. God kept you, he said, voice cracking. I told your mother. I told them all. Our daughter would come back with glory. You didn't disgrace us. Veronica hugged him fiercely. Never, Papa, never. Later that afternoon, under the shade of the mango tree behind their compound, the elders gathered. Neighbors, cousins, even the village chief showed up. Chairs were arranged. A canopy was erected. And then, a brand new Toyota Camry was driven into the compound. It had a red ribbon on the bonnet. Veronica stood beside it, holding the keys. Mama, Papa, this car is yours now. No more trekking to the clinic. No more begging for lifts. Mama screamed. My enemies will go blind with envy. Chief Madhu laughed from the side. And that's not all, Veronica continued. She brought out 2 white envelopes and handed them to her parents. Inside is your visa approval. You're both flying to India next week. Papa, they will run every test, every scan, and treat you properly. You're going to be fine. You'll live, strong. The crowd gasped. The old women ululated. Ulululululu. The village chief removed his cap and bowed. Veronica, the village is proud of you. Chief Madhu stepped forward and raised her hand like a boxing champion. Ladies and gentlemen, he said, let me introduce you to a daughter of this land, the girl who gave her blood to save a stranger and found herself standing beside kings. The people clapped, some wept, others simply stared. That night, a feast was held in the compound. Pounded yam, goat meat pepper soup, fried rice. Palm wine flowed like water. A live band played. Children danced. A man tried to toast Isaac's cousin and was politely rejected. Veronica sat between her parents under the stars, holding each of their hands. Chief Madhu stood from his seat and made a quiet call. They're ready, he said into the phone. The flight's booked. We fly on Tuesday. Then he turned to look at Veronica. She was laughing with her mother, joy glowing from her like sunlight. In his heart, he thought, I didn't just save her. She saved me, too. Sometimes healing starts not in the hospital bed, but in the airplane seat of hope. The day of the flight came quickly. Veronica stood outside the same white mansion in Ikoyi where her life had transformed just weeks ago. But this time, she wasn't alone. Beside her stood Mama Veronica, dressed in a flowing Ankara wrapper and new sneakers. Her face was radiant, both with joy and disbelief. Next to her was Pa Namdi, clean-shaven, with a brand-new walking stick and a fitted agbada he had never imagined he'd wear in his lifetime. The illness had not left his body yet, but his face was full of something stronger than medicine. Hope. Behind them, Chief Madhu's security team loaded suitcases into the back of the bulletproof black SUV, while Isaac stood at the ready, holding travel documents. Veronica reached into her bag and handed her mother a new passport, embossed in navy blue and gold. Mama held it like holy scripture. Veronica, this your own miracle ministry, oh. Veronica smiled, tucking a few strands of her mother's hair into place. I told you, Mama, the God who didn't forget me will never forget you and Papa. Chief Madhu walked toward them with his usual calm authority, dressed in a fine sky blue kaftan. The private jet is fueled and ready. You'll be landing in Chennai, India, in less than 12 hours. One of the best hospitals in Asia is expecting you. Mama Veronica's knees almost buckled. Jet? We're entering jet? Me? Mama Vero? Papa Namdi chuckled weakly. Please hold your wife before she faint finish. Everyone laughed, including the security guards. Veronica turned to Chief Madhu, tears welling up. Thank you, sir. I don't have the words. Chief Madhu raised a finger gently. Don't say thank you. Just fulfill your destiny. Murtala Muhammad International Airport. VIP Wing 2 diplomatic vehicles pulled into the private jet terminal. It was like a scene from a Nollywood film. Security officials greeted them with salutes. Veronica wheeled her father to the tarmac, where a sleek white jet sat like a silver bird waiting to lift them beyond pain. As they ascended the jet stairs, Mama Veronica paused and turned back. She looked at the city skyline behind her, then looked at her daughter. You were the baby we almost gave up on, you know, she whispered. Doctors said I might lose you during pregnancy, but look at you now. Veronica smiled. Maybe God knew I had work to do. Inside the jet, everything gleamed. Leather seats, gold-plated cutlery, a chef waiting with hot jollof, and bottled water chilled in glass. Veronica helped her parents settle, and the flight attendant handed them each soft blankets. The jet hummed to life. Papa Namdi gripped the armrest. Veronica, are we truly flying? She laughed. Papa, we're flying first class. This is heaven before heaven. Chennai, India. Apollo Specialty Hospital. 12 hours later, after a smooth flight and hotel check-in, they arrived at the hospital. Inside, everything was white, sterile, and clean. The walls smelled of lavender and rubbing alcohol. Every nurse smiled. Every doctor bowed slightly when they entered. A team of 7 specialists surrounded Papa Namdi's hospital bed, reviewing test results and nodding. He needs surgery, one of the doctors said in a thick Indian accent. But good news, his body is strong enough for it. We'll prepare in 48 hours. Mama Veronica sat at the foot of the bed, whispering prayer after prayer. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, thank you. 5 days later, the surgery lasted 6 hours. Veronica paced outside the operating theater the entire time. She refused to sit. Her knees were shaking, her palms sweaty. Mama Veronica clung to a rosary, lips moving in constant supplication. When the door finally opened, the lead surgeon removed his gloves and bowed slightly. Surgery was successful. He will need time to heal, but your father will walk fully again. Veronica fell to her knees. And this time she didn't cry because of pain or fear. She cried because God had come through, not on a pulpit, not in a revival tent, but through a billionaire, and a bush, and a bridge, and blood. 12 days later, Papa Namdi walked, unaided, slowly, carefully, but surely. He stepped onto the hospital garden path with tears streaming down his cheeks. I thought I'd die a useless man, he said, but now I will dance at my daughter's wedding. Veronica held his hand tighter. You will, Papa. You will dance till your bones forget they were ever sick. Final day in India. Before boarding the jet back to Lagos, the hospital staff presented a framed certificate. Presented to Mr. and Mrs. Namdi, proof that miracles still walk in flesh. As they climbed back into the jet, Papa Namdi whispered to Veronica, Daughter, I am not just healed. I am reborn. She looked out the window at the clouds rising beneath them and whispered, So are we all. Every lioness eventually walks into the wrong jungle. 2 weeks later, Lagos. The evening breeze swept through the balcony of Chief Madu's mansion, but the air was far from calm. Inside the private study, Chief Madu sat at his desk, flanked by Isaac, his longtime assistant, and Inspector Olamide, a decorated officer from the Lagos State Criminal Investigation Department. Veronica was seated nearby, silently sipping water, her eyes focused, her heart still haunted by the face of Madam P. She needs to be stopped, Veronica said. For good, for the girls who didn't escape like I did. Chief Madu nodded. That's why we're doing this. Inspector Olamide opened a folder filled with photos. We've tracked her since the arrest was called off. We needed more evidence. But thanks to the testimony Veronica gave us, and the one from another rescued girl in Ibadan, we now have enough for a sting operation. Veronica leaned forward. What kind of sting? Isaac grinned. The kind where she thinks she's recruiting another girl, but this time, the girl will be wearing a wire. Introducing Precious, the bait. Her real name was Loveth Okoro, a fierce, sharp-tongued 25-year-old from Delta State. But for this mission, she would become Precious, a supposed dropout desperate for work and willing to do anything. Loveth had been trained in undercover work. She was part of a female-led task force designed to dismantle human trafficking rings from within. This would be her sixth sting. We need her to believe you're vulnerable, Inspector Olamide explained. Don't overplay it, act green, but also curious. Loveth nodded. I've seen her type before. They act like saviors until you say no. Then they show their real teeth. Chief Madu handed her a small gold cross necklace. Camera and mic are in here. GPS embedded too. Loveth smirked. So I'm basically the Holy Spirit now. Everyone chuckled nervously. This operation had to work. Madam P was too slippery. She had money, lawyers, police officers in her pocket, and if she smelled a setup, the mission would collapse, and the lives of dozens of girls still in her grip would remain trapped in the shadows. The meeting, it was arranged through a mutual contact created by the task force. Someone posing as a bar manager looking for girls to serve clients. Madam P took the bait. She scheduled the meeting for 10 p.m. at a lounge in Lekki Phase 1. Private VIP booth. Same routine, same playbook. Loveth, now dressed in a modest-fitted gown with slightly messy hair and dusty sandals, entered the lounge like a lost bird. She carried only a handbag and uncertainty on her face. She was immediately greeted by two of Madam P's female scouts. They led her to the VIP lounge, where Madam P sat on a velvet chair, glass of red wine in hand, her nails polished blood red, her diamond rings catching the light. She scanned Loveth with a predator's gaze. "You're precious?" "Yes, ma," Loveth said, dropping her eyes. "You're from?" "Worry, but I dey squat for a jagunli now. I no get anybody. I just want hustle." Madam P sipped her wine. "Are you willing to do anything to survive?" Loveth hesitated, then said, "If he go help me send money go house, I go try." The woman smiled. "Good, that's what I like. No noise, no drama." She leaned in. "You'll start tomorrow. One client, clean, foreign. He'll pay you $200. After that, if you're good, more will come. We even get connections for Dubai." Loveth nodded, pretending to smile. "Thank you, ma." Madam P smirked. "Welcome to real life, baby." The sting. Outside the lounge, 3 black SUVs waited in silence. Inside them, Inspector Olamide, 4 SWAT officers in plain clothes, and Isaac, tightly gripping his earpiece. The live audio came through clearly. "You'll start tomorrow. One client, clean, foreign." Olamide raised a walkie-talkie. "Green light, move in." Within seconds, the SUVs surrounded the lounge. Officers poured in through the front and back, quietly but swiftly. Inside, Loveth had just finished a staged contract when one of Madam P's scouts looked toward the door. Too late. "Madam Patricia," a voice boomed, "you are under arrest for human trafficking, child endangerment, and conspiracy to commit sexual exploitation." "What? Are you mad? You don't know who I am." Before she could finish, her hands were cuffed behind her back. She screamed, kicked, spat. Her eyes locked on Loveth. "You," she screamed, "you tricked me." Loveth stood, removed the cross necklace, and said calmly, "No, I exposed you." Madam P's face went white. Back at the station, Madam P was unrecognizable, hair wild, makeup smudged, pride shattered. But worse were the files and videos recovered from her phone. Over 43 voice notes, 15 transaction records, and 7 videos of underage girls she had sent to men in exchange for money. It was the evidence the authorities needed, enough to ensure she wouldn't walk away this time. And best of all, her face was broadcast on the news that night. Every channel, every phone, every screen. Veronica's reaction. At the mansion, Veronica sat with Chief Madhu watching the TV screen in silence. Madam P's mugshot appeared, followed by breaking news headlines. "Notorious trafficker arrested in Lakey Lounge sting. Evidence links her to international sex trade ring." Veronica didn't cheer. She just breathed. A long, deep breath. "She's done," Chief Madhu said. "She's finished," Isaac added. But Veronica only whispered, "She's exposed. But so are the girls she hurt. May God heal them all." And in the courtroom, a few weeks later, Madam P appeared before the Lagos State High Court. As the judge passed the sentence, Madam P sat motionless. Then, tears. But not the tears of someone who regrets their crimes. Tears of someone who finally understood. Her empire of manipulation, her house of exploitation, had crumbled. Not under the weight of the law, but under the kindness of a poor girl who once refused to wear her red dress. When a wicked seed grows tall, it forgets the root beneath the soil. The courtroom was silent. Dozens of journalists lined the wooden benches, their camera lenses aimed squarely at the defendant's box. In front of them stood Patricia Obiako, known to many simply as Madam P, once an elegant woman of influence and wealth, now dressed in faded prison garb, her hair unbraided, her pride deflated. Beside her sat 2 lawyers she could barely afford anymore. Her empire was gone, her accounts frozen, her houses seized. The judge, stern-faced and uncompromising, entered the room. "All rise." Everyone stood. Veronica, seated quietly in the front row, beside Chief Madhu and her family, stared straight ahead. Her face was calm, but her heart pounded like a drum in her chest. This was it, the moment justice would finally speak. Inspector Olamide took the stand first, presenting the timeline. The defendant, Madam Patricia Obiako, was captured during a controlled undercover operation by the CID's Special Victims Unit. She was recorded negotiating prices for girls she had recruited from impoverished communities. These negotiations took place over 6 months across Lagos, Abuja, and Dubai. Next came audio evidence. If the girl no gree, forget AM, beat am small, hunger go humble her. The courtroom gasped. Then came video clips recovered from Madam P's encrypted WhatsApp backups, girls being ushered into hotel rooms, receipts of flight tickets, and photos of her with international pimps. One by one, the evidence dismantled every lie Madam P had ever told. Several girls, rescued survivors, testified anonymously behind protective screens. One said, "She promised me work as a hotel receptionist. My first night in Lagos, I was told to sleep with a man 3 times my age. When I refused, I was locked in a room and starved for 3 days." Another whispered, "She told me you'll thank me later. I still have nightmares." When it was Veronica's turn, she walked to the stand slowly in a modest cream gown. Her head was high, her voice was steady. "I was one of the lucky ones," she said. "I walked away, but many didn't. Some never came back. Some died in silence. I'm not here for revenge. I'm here for justice." And when she looked directly at Madam P, their eyes met. For the first time, Madam P looked away. Her lawyers tried to argue she was misunderstood, that she was a victim of a broken system, that the recordings were taken out of context. But it was too late. The evidence was overwhelming. The judge looked down at her over his glasses. "You preyed on the vulnerable, son. You traded in flesh and fear. You profited from pain. This court finds you guilty of the following charges: human trafficking, sexual exploitation, money laundering, and obstruction of justice." The room froze. "You are hereby sentenced to 35 years in prison without the possibility of parole." Gasps, whispers. A camera shutter snapped. Madam P collapsed onto her seat, her face in her hands. Her lips trembled, but no sound came out. Just tears. Silent. Shattering. Veronica closed her eyes. It was not joy she felt. It was release. A wound that had remained open was finally starting to close. Chief Madhu placed a firm hand on her shoulder. "You just helped free a generation of girls," he whispered. Outside the court building, a crowd had gathered. Reporters, activists, students, NGO workers. Some held signs. "Protect our girls. No more Madam P's." Veronica gave blood. She gave us strength. Veronica exited the building into a round of respectful applause. But she didn't wave. She didn't pose. She simply walked into Chief Madhu's waiting car with her mother and father. Inside the car, her mother grabbed her hand tightly. "You stood in front of the world, Veronica," Mama whispered, "and you didn't shake." Veronica smiled, tears in her eyes. "It's God and Papa's prayers." Her father nodded. "You've made us proud, Nim." Chief Madhu smiled from the driver's seat. "This is just the beginning." Back at Kirikiri Maximum Security Prison, Madam P sat in a dim concrete cell. Gone were the wine glasses, the imported perfumes, the high heels. All she had now was a metal bucket and a foam mattress crawling with heat. Her cellmate, a quiet older woman, watched her cry for hours. "You think you too big to be here?" the woman asked. Madam P didn't answer. She just stared blankly at the wall, repeating one line under her breath. "It was just business. It was just business." But the world had made it clear. It was not business. It was evil. And it was over. When the righteous are remembered, their tears become testimonies. Veronica stood on the tarmac with Chief Madhu and Isaac, her heart racing. The day had come. The return of her parents from India, no longer frail and sickly, but restored, renewed, and whole. She wore a soft yellow gown, her natural hair wrapped in a beautiful red scarf. A team of Chief Madhu's medical and security personnel stood nearby, ready to assist. As the plane door opened, Veronica ran forward instinctively, and then she saw them. Her father stepped out slowly but steadily, without a cane, no more wheelchair, no trembling legs. His skin had regained its warmth. His eyes were bright, almost young again. Her mother, dressed in a vibrant Ankara wrapper, followed closely behind him, smiling like she hadn't smiled in years. "Papa!" Veronica cried. He spread his arms wide. "My daughter! My miracle!" She ran into his embrace and broke down in his arms. Chief Madhu watched silently as tears flowed freely between the family. Not tears of sorrow, but of thanksgiving. Veronica's mother touched her daughter's face. You didn't just give us money. You gave us back time. Time we thought we had lost. Veronica turned to Chief Madhu. This man made it possible. Her father stepped forward. Sir, I am not rich in words, but I bless you. May God honor you the way you've honored my daughter. May kings rise to bless your name. Chief Madhu smiled humbly. Your daughter saved my life. I'm only doing what's right. They embraced. It was not a photo op, it was a family forming. They didn't return to Lagos immediately. Instead, Chief Madhu arranged a 2-day stop in OG River, their home village. This time, not in silence or shame, but with celebration. 3 black SUVs and a silver Prado led the convoy through the narrow village roads. Children ran after the cars barefoot. Old women came out, ululating and waving wrappers. "Na Veronica be that? Ah, na our girl, oh. See how her skin they shine like oil." They stopped in front of the old mud house that once held sickness and tears. Now, standing in front of it were camera crews, a welcoming crowd, and a new surprise. A brand new modern bungalow had been built right beside it, painted sky blue and white, a borehole in the back, a fenced compound, and the title deed, in Pana Inamdi's name. Veronica's father staggered. Is this mine? Veronica held out the keys. No more roof leaks, no more broken windows. This is your home now, Papa. He collapsed to his knees. Neighbors gathered. Chiefs of the village arrived. Even the village pastor, with a hoarse voice, led a short prayer, blessing the home and the people behind it. That evening, a small village celebration was held. A local band played. Goats were slaughtered. A long table was set outside the new house, filled with food and laughter. Veronica's mother danced barefoot with joy, twirling like a girl again. Even Chief Madhu danced, swaying modestly to the high life music. At one point, an elder approached Chief Madhu. You did not just save a girl, you restored a lineage. May your own children never lack help in their time of need. Chief Madhu's face grew distant for a moment. Then he nodded. Amen. Veronica noticed. She leaned closer. You miss your son? He nodded. He's coming home soon. For good. She smiled. I'd like to meet him someday. He looked at her meaningfully, then said, You will. That night, Veronica sat alone by the mango tree behind the new house, the same one she used to sit under as a child when life was too hard to explain. She pulled out her old notebook, the one with half-written prayers. She wrote, Dear God, thank you for every no that turned into a better yes. Thank you for the nights I cried alone that made these moments worth it. My father is healed. My mother is dancing. My soul is singing. May I never forget where you brought me from. Amen. A cool breeze blew through the leaves. It carried no sorrow, only promise. Sometimes destiny waits behind the curtain of celebration. A few weeks after Veronica's parents returned from India, healthy, glowing, and happily settled in their new bungalow, an unexpected invitation arrived at their doorstep in OG River. It came sealed in gold foil with the Madhu Group insignia embossed on the front. Veronica opened it carefully. Inside the elegant card read, Chief Madhu cordially invites you to an exclusive welcome dinner in honor of his son, Jackson Ugachukwu Madhu, returning from the United States. Date, Friday, 7 p.m. Venue, Madhu Residence, Ikoyi, Lagos. A small handwritten note at the bottom added, Wear something beautiful. You're not just a guest, you're family. Chief Madhu. Veronica stared at the card, heart pounding. Jackson Madhu, the son she had never met, the one who lived abroad, the one Chief Madhu had spoken of with pride in hushed tones. Her hands trembled slightly. Why did it feel like this dinner was about more than just a welcome? The day before the event, Chief Madhu's stylist and personal shopper arrived at Veronica's home with a collection of evening gowns, shoes, and jewelry. This one, the stylist said, holding up a deep royal blue gown that shimmered like moonlight on water. Custom made, it matches your grace. Veronica blushed as she slipped it on. For the first time in her life, she stood before a mirror, transformed. Gone was the street hawker in wrappers and dust. In her place stood a woman, elegant, radiant, refined. Madam, the stylist whispered, adjusting her earrings, Tonight is your night. Chief Madu's Ikoyi mansion had never looked more magnificent. The garden was lit up with strings of golden fairy lights. White tents stood tall like castles. Violinists played soft high-life melodies near a water fountain. Chefs in crisp uniforms arranged trays of exotic dishes under glass domes. Guests arrived in tuxedos, designer dresses, and jello that touched the clouds. Top CEOs, senators, celebrities, even foreign diplomats, all came to welcome Jackson Madu, the prodigal heir. But when Veronica stepped out of the black SUV in her blue gown, silence fell. She was breathtaking. Not flashy, not loud, but deeply elegant. Chief Madu, already standing with guests, smiled broadly. There she is. A few minutes later, a sleek black Maybach pulled up the driveway. The chauffeur opened the door, and out stepped Jackson Madu, tall, caramel-skinned, with strong cheekbones and a gentle smile. Dressed in a fitted navy blue agbada with silver embroidery. His eyes scanned the crowd politely until they landed on Veronica, and something shifted. He walked straight toward her. "You must be Veronica," he said, extending his hand. She took it gently. "Yes, and you must be Jackson. You're even more beautiful than my father described." Veronica blushed. "He said I'm stubborn." Jackson laughed. "That too." For the rest of the evening, they sat side by side at the head table, laughing, talking, sharing stories about life abroad and life on the street. Two worlds slowly merging. After dessert, Chief Madu stood and tapped his glass. The music quieted. All eyes turned. "I thank you all for coming tonight to welcome my son. But tonight is not just about his return," he smiled. "It's about a full circle moment." He turned toward Jackson and gave a small nod. Jackson stood slowly, adjusting his agbada. The lights dimmed slightly. Then, he turned to Veronica. Her heart skipped. "Veronica Namdi," he said, taking her hand. "I've only just met you, but I've known your story for months. My father told me everything." She froze. "About the day you gave blood on an empty stomach. About how you saved a stranger's life, not knowing he was a billionaire. And about how you reminded my father what love and humanity still look like in a cold world." He dropped to one knee. Gasps filled the garden. "Veronica, I don't want to spend another day getting to know you from afar. I want to walk this journey beside you. I want to love you the way you loved others." Bravely. From his pocket, he brought out a ring, a diamond, simple, elegant, and radiant. "Will you marry me?" Veronica's hands flew to her face. Tears rolled freely. She shook her head in disbelief, then nodded slowly. "Yes," she whispered. Then louder, "Yes!" Applause erupted. Chief Madu stood, eyes glassy. "My daughter-in-law!" Isaac fist pumped the air. Maids clapped. Guests cheered. As Jackson slipped the ring on her finger, camera flashes lit the night sky. And just like that, the girl who once hawked water under Lagos sun, the girl who slept under a bridge and bled for a stranger, now stood in the arms of the billionaire's son, wearing diamonds, wrapped in destiny. From hawking water to walking down the aisle, some stories are written by heaven itself. By the next morning, the proposal had gone viral. Channels TV, billionaire son proposes to street girl who saved his father's life. Instagram blogs, from bridge to bridal, meet Veronica, the girl who went from homeless to heiress. Radio hosts, "Now who say God no day, e don happeno, Chief Madu's only son, go marry the girl way rescue him from death. This loved a movie." Thousands of messages flooded Chief Madu's office, some from well-wishers, some from international charities offering scholarships in Veronica's name, some even from top designers wanting to dress her for the wedding for free. But none of it mattered more to Veronica than the call she made to her parents in the village. "Mama, Papa," she could barely speak through tears. "He proposed." On the other end of the phone, Mama Veronica dropped the phone and burst into praise songs. "Chineke mo, who am I? Jehovah Nisi has answered us." The wedding was set for 3 months later. Chief Madu spared no expense, not for extravagance, but to honor the girl who gave him back his life. A planning committee was formed immediately. Venue, a private vineyard in Lagos with views of the lagoon. Guests, 400 hand-picked dignitaries, celebrities, pastors, and Veronica's entire village. Bride's dress, custom designed by the House of OMONI, hand-sewn crystals. Into Beauty for Ashes, Jackson took no chances. He spent weeks learning Veronica's favorite things, her colors, her songs, her fears, and her dreams. "I want to build a school in OG River," she once whispered. "It's already on the blueprint," he smiled. 2 weeks before the wedding, a convoy of black SUVs arrived in OG River. Veronica and Jackson had come personally to deliver the invitation letters to each family. Children danced in the dusty street. Elders wept. "No daughter from this village has ever married into a billionaire's house," one elder said. "She is the light of our land." And just outside Veronica's old mud house, now turned modern bungalow, her father, now walking with strength again, stood in a full white outfit, hugging Jackson. "You have chosen well, my son," Pa Namdi said. "My daughter is priceless." Jackson bowed. "I know, sir." The morning sun rose gently over Lagos, touching the vineyard with golden light. Veronica sat in her bridal suite, surrounded by her bridesmaids, girls she once hawked water with, now dressed in gold and purple lace. Mama Veronica held her hand, weeping softly. "My child, this is not just a wedding. This is restoration." The church bells rang. Down the aisle stood Jackson, in a white tuxedo with Igbo coral beads and a calm fire in his eyes. As Veronica stepped out, clad in white lace, a soft veil over her glowing face, the entire crowd stood. Even the angels must have paused. Each step she took erased a memory of pain. One step from the bridge, one step from hunger, one step from shame, each step toward glory. When Ishrai reached the altar, Jackson whispered, "You're everything I prayed for." She smiled, "And you're more than I ever imagined." The officiating pastor stood between them. The air was thick with emotion. "Do you, Jackson Ugochukwu Madu, take Veronica Namdi to be your lawfully wedded wife?" "I do," Jackson said, eyes unwavering. "And do you, Veronica Namdi, take this man as your husband, forsaking all others, to walk in love, faith, and truth?" "I do," she whispered. The rings were exchanged, the kiss sealed. The crowd erupted in joy. Fireworks shot into the Lagos sky. Choirs sang. Dancers performed. Even a few older billionaires shed discreet tears. The reception that followed was nothing short of royal. Jackson surprised everyone by serenading Veronica with a guitar, singing a love song in Igbo. Isaac gave a heartfelt toast. She gave blood on an empty stomach. And today, God has clothed her with diamonds. Chief Madu took the mic last. "In all my years of wealth and power, I never felt as rich as I did the day Veronica lifted me from that bush. That moment was the rebirth of this family. Today, I gain not just a daughter-in-law, I gain a legacy." The next morning, the headlines read, "Chief Madu's daughter-in-law launches free education trust for girls." Veronica had used part of her $200,000 gift to establish the Veronica Foundation, providing scholarships and shelter for girls at risk of trafficking and homelessness. She also began writing a memoir, From Water to Wine, My Journey from the Street to the Altar. And soon after, Jackson and Veronica flew to Paris for their honeymoon, just two kids in love, leaving behind a world forever changed. And so, the girl who once whispered, "Papa, I'll make you proud," now lived a life that made the heavens proud. A life built not on luck or money, but on courage, kindness, and an unshakable heart. Moral of this story: no matter how dark life gets, integrity, kindness, and courage will always open doors that talent or wealth cannot. Veronica's journey proves that staying true to one's values, even in hardship, attracts divine favor and destiny. One selfless act can rewrite a lifetime of suffering into a legacy of purpose and joy. We hope you enjoyed this inspiring story. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Share what you learned in the comments below. Another powerful and life-changing story is coming your way in just a few days, so be sure to subscribe and turn on your notification bell. If this touched your heart, like and share with loved ones. Thank you and God bless you.